Look at it this way, okay? Being real here, not being over the top or dramatic or anything else here. However invested I'm talking to you, in that outcome last night, think about how invested they were to have taken the ice that way again. Good morning to you. Good Wednesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday morning. If you're into football and or baseball, both of which I would highly recommend at this stage, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Devils 5, Penguins 1. This is what they do. This is what they do. And this is why I did the show last week and said, that's it. I'm out. I don't have faith in this group. I don't have faith in this team's leadership, meaning inside the locker room. I don't have faith now in this head coach's ability to turn this around. How could I? I don't have any faith whatsoever in this general manager, and as a result, in this president of hockey operations, and I don't even know that the ownership exists. Other than that, though, I think it's all going really, really well. That's the state of this team right now. That's the state of the franchise, really. You want to go over the playoff possibilities? We can do that. I'm armed. Penguins, Panthers, and Islanders all have 4 games remaining. Panthers have 87 points. Islanders have 87 points. And Penguins have 86 points, which means they have lost control. They've lost control of their own destiny. Their final 4 games are against the Wild tomorrow night, at Detroit, and against the Blackhawks, and then at Columbus. And you could say to yourself, wow, that's a pretty light thing there. Once you get past the Wild, it's going to be all... No. You can't. You can't look at any aspect of this and assume the positive, because they haven't earned that. It's not that the Devils beat them. Okay, understand that part, please. Devils are a pretty good team this year. I will freely acknowledge having grossly underestimated that particular group this year. I'll eat it. They've really shown something. They've shown more young players than I thought they had. Jack Hughes specifically showed a greater individual physical strength than I thought he had. I thought he was going to get ragdolled his entire career. He bulked up. He got tougher. Good for him. They have more on the blue line, more in goal than what I thought, what I knew. There is no shame in losing to this season's New Jersey Devils, but there is shame in coming out for that game with that same approach. And when I say that same approach, you know which one I'm talking about, because you just saw it a week ago in Detroit, and you saw it not long before that against the Senators. That's who they are. A handful of players. Now, a handful of important / good players, but only a handful, come out for these things with urgency, with playoff level urgency. And before long, it falls apart. So you tell me why that wouldn't be the case against the Red Wings, the Blackhawks, and the Blue Jackets. Never mind that if you lose to a good Minnesota team tomorrow night and the Islanders and Panthers proceed to move away from you, then those other games might become moot. The Panthers, by the way, have games remaining against the Senators, Capitals, Maple Leafs, and Hurricanes. That is the toughest stretch of anybody who's left. The Islanders have the Lightning, the Flyers, the Capitals, and the Canadiens. So 2 out of 4 are good teams. For the Panthers, it's 3 out of 4 that are good teams. And for the Penguins, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Here was Mike Sullivan after the game last night in Newark.
We're disappointed tonight. We didn't get the result. We didn't play well enough. We got outplayed. All we can do is figure out what we can take from it and try to apply it to the next game. And that's what we'll try to do. But we're going to have to stay in the fight here. We're still in it, and that's the way we got to look at it. We got to stay with it.
Stay in the fight, still in it. I mean, what's he going to say? What's he going to say? I've actually reached the point where I'm just feeling for the guy. I know how much heart, how much hard work he puts into this. I know the effort he's made to try to connect to some of these players to whom connections aren't possible, or to whom, even if he made connections, it's not going to matter because Ron Hextall spent a second-round pick and $1 gazillion on Mikael Granlund, who's a complete waste of an NHL sweater at this stage of his career. What's Sullivan going to say to Granlund? What's he going to say? You know, what an absolute mess this is. What an absolute embarrassment. And I can't even, let's just see how it plays out. Okay, let's just see how, before I start, heads got to roll and whatever else here. The GM's got to go. The GM's unequivocally got to go. When we come back, J1Q. Today's J1Q comes from Scott, who says, not that it'll matter much moving forward, but in my opinion, Tristan Jarry strung together 2 solid games between Boston and New Jersey. Not outstanding, but solid. Barring another injury, does he look like he's getting close to 100%? Scott, you had me with the first 6 words there. Not that it'll matter much. It won't. It won't. We're so far past being able to examine or dissect details. Who broke down? Who blew it here? Or even giving credit. Brian Rust is on a nice little goal-scoring streak. Great. His goal made it 5-1. And this is what we're talking about here. The whole thing has fallen apart. Even when the team wins. Even the other night against the Flyers, they scored a bunch of goals early on, looked like they had some energy, crowd was into it, whatever else. And then they just start doing dumb, undisciplined things, mostly Gino in the third period. They start coughing up a bunch of goals. The Flyers get back within 1. And it's not until Ryan Poehling puts one into the open net that, that game is over. And you leave there going, oh yeah, that's right. That's who they are. I don't understand it. I'm out of answers. As much as I'm out of patience or expectations, I'm also out of answers. Who is it in this group that doesn't care? Who is it in this group that sits in an oval-shaped locker room, meaning they all got to face each other in some form? That's done by design. That was the brainchild, by the way, of Gary Roberts 20 years ago. Shouldn't surprise anybody who remembers the way he played the game. They can look at each other. They can look at Sidney Crosby. They can look at Evgeny Malkin. They can look at Chris Letang. And everything that those guys have been through, both good and bad, and everything that they've put, the 3 of those guys, into this season to try for what now seems laughable, but another shot at the Stanley Cup. And that doesn't do it. That doesn't light the fire. That doesn't get you to, go put some extra effort into things. Jason Zucker gets it. A handful of other guys do. But there's a bunch of them that just don't. That the needle just doesn't budge. And if you've got a leadership group in place that I referenced in the opening segment, that's not used to having to tell people to care, that can be a challenging message to convey. If you were in a room not so long ago with the Ben Lovejoy types, the Ian Cole types, the Patrick Hornqvist types, Matt Cullen, Nick Bonino, who I'm sure was reacquired for this very reason, to try to bring more people into the mix who'd care. They never had to say anything to these people. That's how they won those championships. Not just because of Sid, Gino, Letang, and the goaltending, but because they were supported by a group of players, proud players who legitimately cared, who wanted to win. Listen to what I'm saying here. Listen to how far this has fallen. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. We'll do another one of these tomorrow.